Good evening. Imagine a shiver crawling up your neck as if something is watching you in the darkness. It's not the wind. It's not your mind playing tricks on you. On a full moon night in 1997, in the Sertão of Ceará, a young man named Zé Maria crossed paths with a creature that should not exist. What he saw changed everything. This is the story he never wanted to tell, but which I need to share with you. Stay until the end, because what you are about to hear might be closer than you imagine. So before you get all comfy, take a second to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I'm doing here. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. Now turn off the lights, maybe switch on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's dive together into today's story. It was a warm night. One of those nights where the air seems to stick to your skin in the interior of Canindé, Ceará. Zé Maria, a 19-year-old young man, worked as an assistant on a farm on the outskirts of the city. He didn't believe in ghost stories, even though he grew up with his grandfather's tales of werewolves and creatures that roamed under the moonlight. Old folks' tales, he thought, laughing as he carried sacks of corn under the scorching sun. But that night, everything changed. Zé Maria needed to deliver a message to the owner of the neighboring farm about 3 kilometers away. The trail cut through a dense forest and the only light came from the full moon, so bright it seemed like a lighthouse in the sky. He took his bicycle, an old lantern, and set off, ignoring his mother's warning. "Don't go out there at night, my son. The full moon brings bad things." He laughed as always, but as he pedaled, the silence of the forest began to weigh heavily. There was no cricket chirping, no frog croaking, only the sound of the tires on the dirt and a dragging sound as if something heavy was moving through the trees. Zé stopped, his heart racing. He pointed the lantern into the forest, but the light trembled in his hands. Then he heard a low, guttural growl that seemed to come from all directions. "Who's there?" he shouted, trying to sound brave. No response, only the sound of footsteps, now faster, closer. He pedaled hard, sweat dripping down his face, but the trail seemed endless, and then he saw it. At the edge of the path, under the silvery moonlight, a figure. It was not man. It was not animal. It was something in between. The creature had eyes that glowed like embers, red and hungry. Its body was covered in dark fur, but it stood on 2 legs with claws that gleamed in the moonlight. Zé Maria froze. He wanted to scream, to run, but his muscles wouldn't obey. The creature took a step forward, and he swears he heard a voice, not in his head, but in the air, hoarse and cutting. "You shouldn't be here." That's when he saw, caught in the creature's claw, a piece of fabric. It was the same plaid cloth from his friend Manuel's shirt, who had disappeared weeks earlier after going hunting on the same trail. Zé Maria doesn't know how he managed it, but he threw his bicycle aside and ran. He ran like never before, feeling the creature's hot breath on his neck, the branches tearing at his skin. He stumbled, fell, but dragged himself to the neighboring farm, where he pounded on the door like a madman. The farm owner, Mr. Chico, opened the door and pulled him inside, pale. "You saw it, didn't you?" he asked, without needing explanations. Zé just shook his head, unable to speak. That night, while hiding in Mr. Chico's house, Zé Maria heard the story that no one in the village dared to tell aloud. Years earlier, a man named Raimundo, a respected farmer, had made a dark pact to save his lands from bankruptcy. No one knew with whom or what he had sworn, but since then, on full moon night, something roamed the trails of Canindé. Some said it was Raimundo, transformed into a beast. Others that he had summoned something much worse. What everyone agreed on was that the creature did not kill out of hunger. It hunted for revenge. A local newspaper article dated 1998, found, years later by a folklore researcher, reported inexplicable disappearances in the Canindé region. 7 people disappeared in less than a decade, all on full moon nights, the text said. The newspaper never mentioned werewolves, but the locals knew. They always knew. Zé Maria was never the same again. He quit his job on the farm, moved to Fortaleza, and swore never to set foot on a trail at night again. But he carried something with him, the fear that cannot be explained, the weight of having looked into the eyes of something that was not human. Years later, he wrote a letter to his cousin, which I kept as a treasure. In it, he said, "I don't know if it was man, beast, or demon, but I know that night the full moon was not just light. It was a warning. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, comment where you're watching from and what time it is. Who knows? Maybe you're listening to this on a full moon night just like Zé Maria." But the story doesn't end with Zé Maria. In 2015, another witness, a truck driver named Dona Lucia, reported something that echoes the same terror. She was driving on BR-020, not far from Caninde, when she saw a figure cross the road. It was tall, bigger than a man, with eyes that glowed like red headlights, she recounted in a group of drivers. Dona Lucia braked the truck, but the creature did not flee. It stood still, watching as if waiting for something. When Lucia turned on the radio to call for help, the device crackled, and a hoarse voice said, "You shouldn't be here." The same phrase Zé Maria heard almost 20 years earlier. Dona Lucia accelerated, but she swears she saw the creature run alongside the truck, keeping pace for a few seconds before disappearing into the forest. She never drove on that road at night again. When I asked her years later why she thought the creature didn't attack her, she replied with a phrase that still sends shivers down my spine. "Because I prayed." And sometimes faith is the only thing that separates us from what lives in the darkness. What unites these stories is not just the place or the creature, it's the warning. You shouldn't be here. It's as if the beast, or whatever it is marking its territory, protecting something or someone. Some say it's the spirit of Raimundo trapped in a cycle of revenge. Others believe it's something older, something the Sertão has always hidden. I have no answers, but I know that, on full moon nights, the roads of Caninde become quieter, and whoever passes by there feels a weight as if something is waiting. What do you think? Did Zé Maria and Dona Lucia face the same monster? Or does the Sertão hold secrets we will never understand? Do you believe this really happened? Comment below, share your story, because maybe you've already felt that shiver, that feeling that something is watching you. If this touched you, it's because this video needed to reach you. Good night.